Welcome back to the Retro Tech Revolution podcast, where we dive deep into the fascinating world of retro gaming and technology. Today, we have something truly special for all you gaming enthusiasts and developers out there: DotnetSnes, a framework allowing you to create real working SNES ROMs using .NET languages. So get ready for a fantastic journey into retro gaming development. All right, folks. Let's kick things off with an exciting question. Have you ever wanted to create your own Super Nintendo game but felt overwhelmed by all the technical complexities? Well, let me tell you, DotnetSnes is here to simplify that for you. DotnetSnes essentially allows you to write games in C# and compiles them into the format needed for SNES ROMs. It does this using a .NET library that abstracts functions and globals to make game creation straightforward. Pretty cool, right? But before we jump into how it works, let's talk about the process for getting started. It's essential to get your development environment set up correctly. To do this, you'll need some dependencies installed on your WSL Ubuntu. For instance, you'll want to have tools like CMake, G++, and the .NET SDK. Now imagine you're on a mission, kind of like Mario himself. First, you clone the DotnetSnes repository, do a full recursive submodule update, and you'll be well on your way to developing your very own SNES game. Speaking of Mario, one of the examples you can play around with is the Like Mario game. It demonstrates managing objects, audio, and even gamepad input. When you run make in that directory, you're not just building a game, you're creating a nostalgic experience that can be played on emulators or even saved to a flash cart. Now, let's dig a bit deeper. What's the heart of how DotnetSnes operates? Once your project is compiled, it uses something called the .NET to C transpiler, or DNTC for short. This tool converts your C# code into C, allowing you to tap into that classic SNES magic. Of course, as with any system, there are limitations. For example, SNES has some memory restrictions, and you'll need to be mindful of stack usage and avoid dynamic allocations. It's a bit like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Sometimes you have to get a bit creative. Now, if you wanted to start a brand new project, you'd create a .NET class library project and reference the .NETSnes.core library for essential game functionalities. And here's a curiosity for you. What if you had to declare your game's entry point with a specific attribute just to ensure it works post-transpilation? It sounds complex, but once you grasp it, it becomes part of your creative toolkit. So here's something fun. Let's imagine you're developing your own game. What kind of story would you want to tell? Maybe a heroic quest in a pixelated jungle or a puzzle-solving adventure? The storytelling potential is limitless with the right tools at your disposal. And hey, once you have your main function ready and build your project with Make, what do you think is the feeling when you finally see that ROM file in the folder? It must be electrifying. All right, as we round off today's episode, let's recap what we've covered without sounding too formal. We've explored .NETSnes, which lets developers create SNES games using .NET languages, how it compiles C# code into C, the basic setup process, and some examples to kickstart your game-making journey. Before I sign off, I'd love to leave you with this question. If you could create any character for your own SNES game today, who would it be and what would their story be? Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Retro Tech Revolution. I hope you feel inspired to dive into the world of retro game development with .NETSnes. Until next time, keep those creative juices flowing and